Shalom and Boker Tov, everyone. Once again, it is Friday, May 1st, 22nd day of the Count of the Omer. And we're getting ready for Shabbat. I want to offer you a brief teaching, again, to get which is a wonderful Parsha, especially Kedoshim, going back to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, in the context of that verse, of that Pasuk, there are things going right before it, which put it in context. I mean, itself is amazing, love your neighbor as yourself. But right before it, it says, Lo tisna achicha bilvavecha, do not hate your brother or sister, in your heart. Lo tisalav chet, don't hold over him a sin. And then it says even further, I believe, do not commit revenge against your neighbor. Lo tikom velo titor, don't hold grudges. Ani Adonai. So, v'ahavtarecha kamocha. So, if you look at the context of those verses, it's saying, not just in general, love your neighbor as yourself, which we talked about, and itself a complicated verse, but the lead up is assuming that there will be relationships you have with people in your society, in your world, that are complicated, that aren't going well, where you feel hurt, where you're not pleased with someone else in society's behavior. Even then, love your neighbor as yourself. And we talked about it. It doesn't say like, it says love. But the Torah is honest. There are people that are going to hurt you so badly, you will possibly have hatred in your heart. And the mitzvah is, lo tisna dechicha bechor. Don't get to the point where there's hatred in your heart. So I want to talk about this a second here. That to love your neighbor as yourself comes as a kind of alternative to dealing with what is natural, which can be hatred in one's heart. And what does it mean to have hatred in one's heart? So, let me give you an example. Here in North Carolina, we have a group of citizens that have been protesting regularly called Reopen NC. They are going down to downtown Raleigh, and it's not across the country, but in Raleigh, to try to push and lobby. They see their constitutional rights are being restricted. Many people there feel their economics absolutely are being affected. They feel this is unnecessary, or is necessary. They feel it's overblown, whatever things. We could even have the most compassionate read is these people that are struggling, they're economically struggling, they're scared, and they feel that the government has overstepped its bounds. This is, clearly it's not the majority opinion. And myself, some of you may know, and I shared in a recent Facebook post, my mother suffers from Alzheimer's disease, sadly. She is in Florida in a dementia care, and she's in this facility. She has not left the facility in, 2 months, neither of any of the patients. But they did prophylactic testing of everyone in the whole facility just to see if there's any COVID in there, and discovered that 3 patients there who've never left the facility have COVID. Now, it's asymptomatic. They're being treated. One of them was not my mother. But how did it get in there? It got in there probably due to the fact the workers there, who I'm sure are being very careful, and I've met many of them, it's a relatively small facility, are doing everything they can, but it came in some way. So the idea that these people protesting, wanting to open up further, for me, is a direct threat to people like my mother, who is doing nothing, to break the rules, is following everything, but still is being exposed, and is being exposed because the rest of society is not as clamped down as it should be, or whatever, even under the best of circumstances. What's my point? My point is that within me, it's natural for feelings of true anger, even hatred, to come out of my heart at these people. Because these Reopen NC people are not just business people or people who are seeking to identify freedom. To me, they are a threat to my mom, my very vulnerable mother. Okay. Let me set this up to say then, this is the way a lot of conflicts can be, is that we may have different agreements about different thoughts of all kinds of politics or relationships, whatever, but what happens is when one person's opinion, thought, can have a direct threat to another person, hurtful, insulting, that's when hatred can arise in the heart. It's no longer just discussion and theory. It's in the heart. This person believes in opening North Carolina. They have their reasons. I believe in shutting it down. I have my reasons. Both of us have emotional reasons. So fast forward. It came out in the news yesterday or 2 days ago that one of the leaders of this movement for Reopen NC came down with COVID or had it. And you could have imagined the response I saw on social media from people I know. There was Freud on steroids for this woman. Oh, she deserves it. Let's see what she feels about it now. She's got egg on her face. Some of it was truly hatred towards her. And, you know, even some who said things I'm embarrassed I would not share, but you can imagine what came out about what people feel happened here. That's what I say is the sin of lo tisna dechicha b'levavecha. Don't hate your brother or sister in your heart. Because when you hate someone in their heart, or in your heart, you let that poison in, then you act back in ways that are not your best. It's okay to vociferously disagree. It's okay to see someone is totally wrong. It's okay to recognize that person's behavior or ideas are threats and to push back against that. That's all true. But to celebrate their failure or to somehow get joy out of seeing someone get sick, that's hatred in your heart. Rabbi Harold Kushner once taught a teaching I thought so powerful. He said, when you really hate someone in your heart, really in your heart, and you want to get back at them, it's like you take some poison in your hands, like a cup of poison that you have inside of you, it's really killing you. And you take the poison and you want to toss it at the person. You want to throw that poison on them. But all that keeps happening is as you throw the poison at them, it keeps falling back on you. It hits the wind and comes back. It seeps through your fingers. Once you touch that poison of hatred, its effects are often not being touched by the people you don't like. It's actually affecting you. You're the one who's losing sleep. You're the one that's crying to tears. You're the one who's anxious. You're the one who's suffering. The key is to try to hold back the hatred reaching your heart. And when it does, to say, you know, I need to let go of this hatred in my heart, irrespective of this person. I gotta find a way to cleanse my heart because it's not doing, he or she, they're not feeling it, no matter what happens to them. That poison's in my heart, and I'm the one who sits with it. So that's when the Torah says later, love your neighbor as yourself. It doesn't mean to say like, oh, I hug you with everyone I disagree with. No, I don't love this person who leads Reopen NC. I completely disagree with her. That she got this disease, not happy about it for her, but it is a consequence of her actions. But if I hate her in my heart, then she has gotten into me. I'm the one that's suffering the poison, nobody else. So what is connected? Lo tisna, don't hate your neighbor in your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself is basically saying, when you are so angry at someone else, and it's so poisonous, again, legitimately upset, don't get that poison inside your heart to the point where you actually think or obsessed and celebrate their failures. Let them be. Let what happens to them happen. But hold off the poison. It's tough, but you know you've reached there when all you do is you pray for poison on them. That's not going to happen. That's not the way the world works. It's not the way a healthy, soulful, spiritual way works in the world. So I don't wish for that woman who got COVID, Reopen NC, that she should suffer unnecessarily. I mean, she may have learned a lesson, who knows? But I pray that there won't be hatred in my heart, because that's not serving anybody, and I'm not going to be stuck with that. So friends, as Shabbat comes, one of the prayers in Shabbat says, purify my heart so I can serve you in truth. So enter Shabbat, I invite you to think in our world, even amongst those who disagree with, those in our life who causes struggle and frustration. Is there a way to hold off the poison and hatred in our hearts and say, you know what, this person I disagree with, this person may have their reasons, you may find a way to have compassion on them. I don't have to like them, compassion on them. And I can say, okay, but keep that over there, because I don't want to live my life with hatred in my heart. That poison is not going to be productive, it's not going anywhere, and it's only going to make me suffer. And bring me a Shabbat where I feel I can sit with my heart purified, ready to serve you in truth. Wish you a Shabbat Shalom, a safe and healthy Shabbat. A time of rest, please God, a time of friendship, even over a Zoom, and a time where we can focus on loving, not say liking, loving our neighbors as ourselves. Shabbat Shalom.